bringing you full coverage, I repeat, full coverage of a special community forum which was presented by Compass Productions on Saturday, July 24th, 1999 at the Langston Hughes Institute. The community forum's topic was hip-hop culture versus the civil rights era.
Issues within our community that I feel that needs to be discussed and open. I want to start by asking everyone to take a moment of pure silence, to remember those that are not here, to try and reach those that need to be here, and to also call on our ancestors who are going to give us the energy in which we need to have this again. So please take a moment of silence. Before we begin, I would like to introduce my panelists. We have Brother Fulani, an artist in our community. We have Brother Simba, a wise brother in our community. We have Sister Beverly Gray, a sister who is about to make a lot of changes within our community. We have Brother Darnell Jackson, who is a voice that is well needed within our community. And we have Brother Dr. Martin, who is going to speak upon the future that is going to lead our community. I ask that everyone here take heed to the opening statements of our panel. I ask that everyone here take time out to think of a question that may need to be asked, or even a comment that may need to be brought forward. You are open to have concerns. When you are ready to speak, we ask that you do it in an orderly fashion and step towards the middle so that everyone can hear you. Please project your voice because we need to hear every single thing you have to say in order to make a change. So as of now, my mediators, one please take one side and one take the other to guide our community towards the center when they're ready. And right now I ask that Brother Fulani has his opening statement.
First of all, welcome everybody to Langston Hughes. I'm the unofficial art director here, and I'm also artist in residence. I don't like that term art. It doesn't mean anything. I'm an innovative activator. Now, what does that mean? That means whatever needs to be done, I'll find a way to do it. Simple as that. I'm happy that you're here once again. I'm really sad, unfortunately, that in looking around, the majority of people here are not ones that should be here, and that is teenagers. But that seems to be reflective of a lot of things I noticed about Buffalo. I'm from here. I've been out of town like 30 years, and I got back 2 years ago. And it really saddened me that this town seems, the adults, seems not to value the youth enough that they have enough events for them to go to. And I think that's why this may be the reason they're not even here for this, because it's so seldom that I see anything taking place in this town for you young people that it's kind of scary. It doesn't leave me anything to do. So hopefully this is the beginning of some dialogue, and maybe we'll have this again and be bigger, better attended.
Peace and love. I'm glad to be here. I was asked to be on the panel. I know how important it is in the 60s when we relate to the hip-hop. Some of my great comrades were the Last Poets, Gil Scott Heron, and a lot of people that were rappers earlier. Okay, the rap now has gotten so it's so vulgar and it's so messed up that it ain't doing nothing but doing harm to our children and our people. And any company that will let you say bitch and motherfucker is a company that's against you. It's a company that's making you insult your own family and your own self. Okay, so this meeting I hope will bring us together with a kind of movement. And I think that everything the black man, the young man in the promised land is supposed to be doing, all the young brothers and all, you're supposed to be in some kind of movement. If you're not in a movement, you're a problem to all the movements. Because we have to save the children. That's the key. Save the children. Without the children, there's no me. So I'm very concerned with hip-hop and anything young people are doing. And we have to organize around what we're doing. Ain't nobody better than nobody else in here. They might think individually they are, but when you organize, you bring force, political and social. And everybody should be organized because all of us are catching hell. Peace and love.
Peace and love, my sisters and brothers. When I was asked to sit on the panel for a discussion on civil rights era versus hip hop, I asked Sister Soldier exactly what role was I playing. I'm here to add my voice to the panel to share with you my vision and hope for the future, and actually hear exactly what it is we can do collectively to prepare or to develop collectively with the young people of today a way to forge a future. I believe that we are a product of our environment, and music is a major piece. So hip-hop is going to be part of our discussion, and the civil rights era is going to talk about basically what our ancestors and our parents and our grandparents fought for to bring us this far, and how can they both come together. We just left the old Rock Pile, which is down Johnny Duval Pavilion, and I said to the group that it was important for me to be here versus being there at this point, because there needs to be dialogue about what our young people are hearing. And we are reacting, our young people are reacting to what they hear. If the B word can be associated with women, then that means that they're growing up in an environment where young women don't have respect for themselves, and neither does the society as a whole. As Brother Simba said, in any company that would produce lyrics that would allow you to begin to self-destroy yourself doesn't have your best interest at heart at all. So I thought it was going to be very important. I believe it's very important that we be here and begin to dialogue with you. If it's only 10 of y'all here, at least 10 of y'all will talk about or hear something that's going to hit home, hit your spirit, and you're going to share it with one of your girlfriends, one of your brothers, one of your sisters, and the message is going to go on and on. As a member of this community, I believe that we all have a responsibility to the future of our community, and I try to play a role in exactly what is going to happen, not only to you, but what's going to happen to my nieces and nephews who are now 10, 11, and 12. So I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. My name is Darnell Jackson. I'm a community activist in the city of Buffalo. And I'm here to voice my opinions on these different topics, and to explain to you what we do in the community for kids as well as in adults. We have a serious program running. Maybe we'll get in touch with that. But we do a lot with the youth, and the youth is our future, and that's what we fight for. So we're out here every day fighting elements and ills in our community to make it a better community, but we must come together as one and fight together. That's the only way we're going to make something happen. So I'm here for anybody who needs help in the community. If you need services or any kind of help, just get in touch with us. We'll be out there. We'll be there for you.
Peace. My name is Doc Martin, CEO of Compass Productions, who actually put this event together. Being the lone representative problem for the hip-hop culture, I'm the youngest on the panel. And as far as living the life of hip-hop, it's not just a music, it's a culture. And what we're trying to do is trying to connect the links with older and younger Black people, so that we can communicate on one accord. Because right now in this city, it's so diverse that older people really don't want to try and take a chance on younger people. You know what I mean? And what we're trying to do here is bridge that gap. So what I hope to do in the panel is to basically represent hip hop and not to sort of downplay and say that it's a negative thing, because it's not. But to get the positive aspects of hip hop out and to let it be known that hip hop definitely has a negative vibe, but it also has its positive roots. And just so that we can connect this and get it underway for our community and make it a better place for everybody. Because right now, they have us in shackles, basically. So what we're going to do is just try and knock those shackles down and make it a positive atmosphere.
Okay, those are our opening statements. I hope that you understand where each one of our panelists are coming from at this time. When we thought of the forum, I'm going to tell you that this was something that has been on my heart for over a year. I'm a teen mother. I was a teen mother. I have witnessed a lot of teen pregnancies. I have witnessed a lot of young entrepreneurs. I have witnessed dropouts, but I have also witnessed this gap within our community where youth are reaching out for something. They're reaching out for something that we, for some reason, as elders, have not taken the time out to say, excuse me, but what is it that you're reaching out for? What is it that you're looking for? Why are you finding love on the streets? Why are you finding love everywhere else? So when I thought of the forum, I said, it's time to close the gap. The intergenerational gap of the civil rights era and hip-hop culture. The civil rights movement was a powerful movement for our people. It took us to the point where we were able to sit on the front of the bus. It took us to a point where we began to regain education that was needed. And it took us on a whole new journey to get to the point where we can say we're in the civil rights era now, and now we're moving on up, we're in the hip-hop culture. And that's how much time has evolved. But the question is, how much has evolved within us? Some of the topics that I would like to bring forth and build on with you all today are vocalizing facts on corrupting issues, whether it be what happened in school, I want to know. Whether it happened on your job, I want to hear it. They need to hear it. I want to talk about past incidents of discrimination. We've all witnessed that. People of power that are on a string. Everyone wants us to vote, but are they giving us a reason to vote? And what are we really voting about? We want to know. Ways to overcome institutionalized boundaries, be it in our schools, be it in our banks, with trying to get loans, be it in our government. I want to unveil some commercialized issues. I've seen a lot of billboards throughout our community. I spoke to my class about it, so I want you to speak up today also. These billboards that are in our community, these commercials that are flashing before the eyes of our future. I want to know what's up. Radio. Things that have us all in modern day slavery. We need to talk about that today. Community disappointments. What are they? What really makes you disappointed in your community? How come everyone can just walk past things and not even pretend to realize what's going on? Corporate corruption. I know a lot of young people are looking for jobs. I know a lot of older people are looking for jobs, but there is so much corruption within that corporate structure that we're not there. Our voices are not heard there. Our talents are not utilized there. Why not? I encourage everyone to answer freely. I encourage everyone to speak up, please. We have cameras going. Don't be afraid of them. Those are your friends. Because other people outside that did not make it here today will be able to say, well, I should have been there. And they will call call one of you, one of us, and say, well, when is the next one? And if the Creator allows, there will be a next one. And with the next one, there will be an even larger crowd with even more issues to attack because more people are going to speak up. At this time, I would like the first person who has something on their heart that they want to bring forth to just stand, come towards the middle, and just let me know. If not, one of our panelists are free to speak on any of the topics of which you heard.
Steady your right.
I will go back into the floor, Mr. Hill, and address your question accordingly.
One of the things I wanted to speak on was the title. There was some dialogue about how this program should be titled, hip-hop culture versus civil rights era. Initially, my reaction to the idea of the versus was that it created immediate oppositional idea that somehow hip-hop culture is in opposition to the civil rights era. However, from a provocative standpoint, I understand it because I think sometimes people are more drawn by controversy than they are by, just an ordinary type of dialogue. But my basic instinct is this, is that were there no civil rights era, there would be no hip-hop culture. Okay? And that the best of hip-hop culture is continuing in the lineage of cultural and arts development as the jazz, as the R&B, as does, many other types of art forms. So for me, I think the challenge is, do we distinguish between those purposes that fall into an art form with individuals that are contrary to our best interests, or do we stereotype and lump it all together? By that I'm basically saying, whether you talk about gangster rap, or you talk about gangster clothing, or whether you talk about gangster language, gangster exists. Hip-hop didn't create it. And if we're talking about liberational theology or liberational culture, it existed before hip-hop. So I think that it's not a matter of whether or not hip-hop is oppositional to the best, whether hip-hop uses the N-word, whether it uses the MF word, or whatever type of language. There's no immediate opposition that exists in hip-hop to the best that exists in African-American culture generally.
Yeah, I want to respond to what, I'm not responding to this, carry on what you said. I'm really talking to all the good young people, all right? I'm not talking to adults, I'm talking to the youngest people in here, the young brothers over here, little sisters. I'm talking to you, I'm not really talking to adults, okay? And this is what I want you to think about. Now, you heard about what happened in was it Colorado, Columbine, with the white boys, the trench coats went off, away a bunch of people, right? If you ever have a chance to get on the internet, there's a lot of different sites on the internet you can check out. They're called hate sites, like the Aryan Nation, Ku Klux Klan and things. The reason I bring this up is that something very interesting has happened. As you know, you might have heard this term Y2K, about the computers and everything going down. Well, there's something else also going on around here. America and the world is doing a meltdown. What I mean by that is, those in the world who serve no purpose are going to be phased out. Now, if you think that sounds extreme, like a conspiracy thing, there was an article in the paper I just read today that said supposedly black people who have health care or concerns when they go to doctors, they're like 50 times more likely the doctor tell them, well, you're faking, nothing wrong with you, right? There really is something wrong, right? Everything that's bad in America, the worst things, we rank number one in it, all right? When it comes to murders, when it comes to suicides, when it comes to death from certain cancers and illnesses, black people are number one, and black males are specifically number one. Okay, now, is that a coincidence? Maybe it is, I don't think so. And my point is this, I never blame any of my young people, no matter what you do for anything, because you were not born guilty. You were just born, you were just a baby. But I do blame adults, because anything that a child is for one or two reasons. Either because some adult, his own parent, did not affect changing him, or some negative adult affected negative changes. So anything that you all do, in a way, I really hold you blameless for it, because you are a product of what goes on around. If you don't have certain things input into you, you become that. and that's what the things we're talking about in terms of hip-hop music and negative lyrics and all that. I mean, there's no way all this could exist if adults my age did not support and encourage this, whether it's this crap about being a player or being a pimp or telling girls that, you know, being a hoochie mama is somehow you get money. I mean, these things, y'all didn't make this up. This ain't something y'all just came up with like 3 or 4 years ago. Same with Tupac. In spite of Tupac's mother being a Black Panther, being political, look at Tupac. I mean, I love the little brother, but he went off the deep end too. All right? I mean, let's keep it real. Y'all always say, let's keep it real. Now, you got to ask yourself this. Why is it your little friends go around calling themselves all these dead Italian gangster names, right? Let's understand something. Generally speaking, I'm not making a blanket, I'm not saying all Italian people don't like black people. But I'm saying historically and generally, white Italian men do not like black people, all right? If you ever seen The Godfather, that movie, you haven't seen it, go get it. Because the most important line in that movie, and I'll never forget it, when they were talking about dealing heroin, right? The Italians were saying, oh, we don't mess with heroin, it's bad. And one of them said, nah, give it to the niggas. They don't have no souls. And when I saw that movie, I thought to myself, well, it's just a movie. But it is just a movie. But the mere fact that they're willing to put that line in the movie, they didn't even try to hide it. Okay? They're not even trying to hide it. And what I'm trying to tell you is that you, young black males and young black females, need to understand something. You are considered obsolete in America. Obsolete, you know what obsolete means? It's like a dinosaur. You're in the world anyway. You're only good for 2 things. Either for farming, that is in prison, because in prison that's what you are. You're like a piece of cattle, right? You're another talking head in prison, right? Or for selling stupid stuff to kill yourself. Have you wearing clothes with names? You know what the hell the names mean, right? Have you these ridiculous fake gold stuff that you're wearing, all this crazy Italian name and stuff in there? I mean, I understand that there's a lot of self-hatred in the black community, and it hurts me because I grew up here. I went to Benton High School. I left here in '64. I come back here after all these years. I still find the same things. Color. Niggas still talking about what shade they are, what kind of hair they got. All right, this is the end of the 20th century, and we can't even get past that. I don't blame you all because you got it at home. You got it at home. You didn't just decide suddenly you start differentiating yourself based on color. You got it at home. You got it from your neighbor. You got it from people my age. But I'm just telling you all, you have to understand. Just because you got these things, don't mean that you can't get rid of them, right? Just because you go around calling women bitches and hoes and project bunnies and everything else, you know? It blows my mind. I asked the brother, I said, would you call is your mother one of them? No, my mama ain't one of them. I said, so everybody else is, but your mama ain't. You got to ask yourself something. When you speak, what comes out of your mouth doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't, why are you saying and acting that way? And understand, people don't know you like y'all so. You don't know me. No, they don't know you. But what you project is how they think you are. If you project stupidity, that's what you become. Whether you are or not, you can be brilliant. But in terms of what we know you are, you're an idiot. Okay, you're an idiot. And you're viewed that way. You understand something? Around this planet, when you mention people of African descent, you're thought of in terms of entertainment, sports, having sex, having babies, for the hell of having babies, and making people laugh or even scaring people. That's what you're thought, not as scientists or engineers or future thinkers, but as clowns and idiots. And everywhere you go on this planet, nobody wants you. Not even other African people, because they're into the same madness. And this is the end of the 20th century. And y'all got weight that we couldn't even imagine. Because this country is not, it never has been about our welfare, but it's even less. And niggas talking about Clinton, oh, he's so wonderful. Clinton has done nothing for us. The welfare ban, people are worse off before. There's no jobs, no job training. It's a joke. Talking about, oh, the economy is so well. Well for who? Young people here can't find no jobs because there ain't no jobs. If there are, they don't want to hire you. So what you got to do is you got to learn that you got to start creating your own stuff. Stop buying. I told one young girl in my class, I said, you got a Korean boyfriend? She said, what you talking about? I said, well, baby, you got all that hair and fingernails. I'm thinking you must be hooked up with a Korean. You know, little things. You go to everybody for everything except to yourself. And you got to understand that if you don't change it, people my age who ain't did nothing, they ain't gonna do nothing. And you got to understand now, not when you're 22 years old, right? Not when you finish high school. Right now. Right now, you have to understand that a lot of things that you don't like about adults my age, you You can't wait on them to change it because they ain't going to do nothing. You're going to have to do it. If you don't do it, 20 years from now, you'll be sitting here telling some other kids the same things I'm telling you, and you'll be nowhere too. And that ain't what you want. All of you have dreams and ideas, right? But the dreams and ideas are not the Cartier watches and the Rolex and all that other garbage, okay? Because you get all that, if you don't have brains to control it, you'll lose it all tomorrow. I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about power. And how do you get power? You get power through knowledge, and through networking, through working with people, all right? So that's what I'm going to leave you at this point, because I don't want to carry this thing too long.
Let me just say, Brother Maloney, that 99% of everything that he said, definitely we the older group, have experienced it and know that that's the reality. But the other 1% is that older adults do have a responsibility and are trying to do some things. I mean, some of you are coming out of a household where your mom is a real positive role model, who is making the school board meetings every month, who is running at your school trying to see exactly why my kids are not getting the education they need. So maybe the masses are not moving, but it didn't take all of Montgomery to make the movement change down there. The change in the South didn't take all the black people in the South to make it happen. A lot of them were standing by, waiting on somebody else to not get on the bus or to not move when the white man said move. It was one woman who said, but as we learn our history, we understand it was an organized effort for Rosa Parks not to move that day. But it wasn't that day in particular. It was always talk. One of these days we just want to not move anymore. One of these days we're not going to ride the bus. But eventually one day she was really tired because she had to scrub her floors all day and said, I'm not moving today. And she didn't. And when she didn't move that day, a whole new era was born. So the bottom line to it is that we can't wait for the masses to get together. It is never going to happen. It may be one person at a time. Maybe one young person at a time to make a difference. Each time we see one young person that says, I'm going to start my own business, believe me, there's 2 or 3 adults somewhere saying, I'm going to help this kid get it off the ground. What bothers me a lot is how we paint the picture so bleak for young people that they don't want to make a move. They're too scared to make a move. No one is giving them an upbeat on what can happen. I agree with the doctor. We should not continuously accept education to teach us how to go out and work for someone else. I'm an entrepreneur. 14 years old, I was working at Howard Johnson's. I came home one day, my mother was paying the rent to a white man. All my life, I thought she owned the house we lived in. I didn't know what paying rent was about until I started paying it. No, they just owned all the properties here. They owned all the property where we lived at. I didn't know, so I said, what are you doing? She said, I'm paying rent. And that kind of stuck in my spirit. So of course I rented for a while. But very soon I wound up on my own house. All right, and after that I owned a duplex. And after that I owned my own business. And I owned my own building. So it kept being nurtured. So it can start somewhere. You don't have to wait for us. You know, if you got a relationship with an older person, then try to learn, pick their brain, talk with them, find out something from them. But if you don't, you have the right to take the chance, take the risk. You must go to school. That's your obligation to yourself and to your ancestors, the ones that came before you, your great-grandmothers and your grandfathers. You owe them that to get all the education you can get. But some of us worked and went to school. You can do that. You can run your own business and go to school. You make your own hours when you run your own business, but you have to be willing to sacrifice to make it work. You don't need federal dollars all the time. I'm with the doctor again on something else. He's just coming back home 2 years ago. I came home in 1984, and I was broken hearted to see all my brothers and sisters I went to school with. Either they were dead, in jail, wine heads, doped out. I mean, just destroyed. The majority of them just destroyed. So the bottom line to it is I had to do my own thing. Wasn't no reaching back to the past, trying to find any home girls or home boys, really grows, get it on with. It was all about what you want to do better. So it's all about me being in business, trying to fight the fight with everyone else, trying to change things in my neighborhood, which moved me into the political arena, which in less than 10 years' time, I was elected citywide council member. It's you. It's in you. Some people I know come from a house, a dysfunctional household, where the father and the mother may be addicted and alcoholics and drug users. But the kid came out all right. The kid came out all right. Why? Maybe the grandmother, the neighbor next door, and some of her own girls kind of stuck by her. So it isn't always we have to be destroyed by the environment that we're in. We have to decide what can we take from the environment that's positive that can help me move on up the road. Sometimes the picture is painted very, very bleak, but believe me, there is hope, there is a silver lining, and there is reason to vote. There is reason to vote. Yes, this is their book, they wrote it, and our job is to read it. Our mandate is to read it, understand it, learn it, and use it where it's going to benefit us, where it's going to benefit you. And that's not impossible. Those that are making it aren't sellouts. Not all of them. Some of them, yes, but not all of them. Ask them, how do you get it on? How do you get it started? Where did you begin? And then take a chance. And take a chance. I'll close right there.
Peace. My name is Terrence. It's spelled Terrence or Zachariah or whatever. My comment or question is, with the understanding of the civil rights versus hip-hop era, I know you said that every relationship begins with an individual. So when they say that once you're born and you cut that umbilical cord off, for the rest of your life you're searching for that knowledge that used to be connected with it. So my question is, whether you choose civil rights or hip-hop or scripture to try to fulfill that void or sensation, any movement, the key to success of any movement really is the strength of the family home. So if you're asking how can we make the civil rights movement successful, with the first subject we choose, should it be building stronger marriages or building stronger buildings?
All right, I would like to relate to that. First thing, you got to get the propaganda away from the reality. You have to get the illusion away from the reality. In the southern, down below the Mason-Dixie, they dealt with civil rights. Above the Mason-Dixie, they dealt with human rights. We were dealing, I was from above the Mason-Dixie. Our struggle was about human rights. If we get human rights, all those other rights are light stuff. Okay, they integrated the civil rights so that we started off with a spiritual movement and ended up with a material movement. Okay, we don't control anything here, okay, but ourselves. And when COINTEL came, the agency that stopped the movement, okay, they were trying to get everybody into Martin Luther King's thing, okay, because people from the North, they didn't believe in slapping one side of the face and slapping the other, okay? So they had that whole thing separated. So when the government came in, when they seen the buildings burning and everything, because buildings are more important than human beings in America. Understand that, yeah? Understand that, okay? Because it's dollars and cents in America. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. The people that control America are white nationalists, okay? Any kind of what they call third world country that try to get nationalism going, they talk negative on it. But it starts off, regardless of who you are. If someone takes the tongue out your mouth that the deity gave you and put their tongue in your mouth, if you're not focused with the scriptures or whatever you think is righteous, if you're not focused, he's always going to be in your sight. We become our own enemies because we're not focused. We're into things. We're into material things, pieces. And he can give you all the pieces you want. That's why we came here from Africa. We're dealing with pieces, shiny things, instead of dealing with human things. Okay? Love ye one another. We stopped love. The COINTEL came in our community and stopped us from loving. The last organization I was in the 60s called the School of Common Sense, because our problem was we didn't have any common sense. We had academic sense, but we didn't have any common sense. So we thought we were better than each other. As long as people got to fight among each other, we were better. They control, okay? So I'm just saying, you have to be focused. You have to love yourself. You have to reflect people, like that thing that he talked about that happened, they got people in the woods now coming at y'all, okay? They be teaching them we be teaching our children ball games, and they be teaching their children war games. And they're really European Christians. They're serious about this place. They were sent here because they were criminals in Europe, and they came here and they made America. Everything that they've ever got, they stole. Okay? And when you steal things, sooner or later there's a seed that's coming to repossess that, what it was taken from them. Okay, I know I won't be here, but I'm saying we have to be focused. We have to love one another. Anybody that's trying to keep you from loving your brothers and sisters are trying to keep you in hell. That's real, because we loved each other in the 60s. Sisters, we used to have to push sisters out the way, because they'd spit in the policeman's face and he'd push them out the way to get to us. But the sisters are always loyal because they always think about the children. They always got the children on their mind. That's their agenda. And I'm saying they're very active, even with this sister down at City Hall. Just make them brothers down there a little more together, okay? But I'm saying we have to start loving each other. The hip-hop thing, if you're going to get down with it, I would recommend that you go through it with a movement. In this town, they need a movement, any kind of movement. There's no political movement here, only the political movement that deals with the White House. And that movement does not help the Black House. We have to use common sense about our everyday things, because everybody in here is vulnerable. Nobody in here knows if they're going to make it home tonight. There's no more security in this country. And the ones on the lowest part of the totem pole, if I see white folks catching hell, I don't have to go through no problems about what black folks is catching. It's just a common sense thing. So with the hip hop, you deal with everything from a human rights, from a human perspective. We're human beings.
So, my name is Nkari, and one of the comments I wanted to make, and a question I want to ask how you feel about this, is that I see a lot of the problem with the people, the younger people coming up today, especially more within Buffalo than around the country, because if you go around the country, you see people doing their thing, and you see things happening, things moving. But within Buffalo, my parents were involved with the movement from the 60s up until the mid 70s, and I was able to see a lot of the work that they tried to get accomplished. But the ball, they only moved the ball so far. Then there was supposed to be those people coming after them to take the ball and run with it again. And it seemed like after, we got the top locks back in the 70s with the fight, and getting different buildings like the Langston Hughes Center, getting the Agricultural Center, and then a few people got different government jobs, then it just died here in Buffalo. It just died. And then people, when people got into the government, then it was like, well, I got my piece. And then different people who we trusted and elected into different offices, they got their homes in other parts of town and not necessarily on the east side anymore, and then they were pacified and comfortable. And now we have this next generation coming up that was not led, and that no one really did talk to. You have a few people, it's hard to put a blanket on everyone, but you have people that were not nurtured, and that's the reason why you have a thing where you have the, because I remember when the whole hip hop thing first started, and it was not what we have here now. When I listened to, just recently I saw a video with Puff Daddy doing an old Public Enemy song, doing Public Enemy #1, and the message of that song, the message of what Puff Daddy is talking about, he's talking about, you don't like me because I don't have my money, I don't have this. Public Enemy is talking about, you don't like me because I'm speaking the truth. And this is where you have, where is the bridge? The bridge you got knocked down. And that's what, did we not carry the ball? Was the ball not carried to the next generation?
Well, how I see that, I see it kind of, I didn't grow up in the 60s. I was born in 1974, so I kind of missed all of that. But what I saw was, when I sat down and talked to my mother, she even explained how, black people kind of felt settled with getting the little crumbs that they did get. Because, like they said, like in the the 60s, there wasn't many black people in office. Now, in the 90s, we got such and such amount of black people in office. So therefore, we made big giant steps. But see, giant steps only make up for the big ass mile steps that we behind. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people feel satisfied with just the little accomplishments that, if you want to call them accomplishments, because in my eyes, those are things that we should have had anyway. So it's not like it's an accomplishment. You understand what I'm saying? And as far as like hip hop, I feel you all the way as far as how Puff Daddy take a song that was strictly about our people and flipping it on what we're talking about today as far as bringing it into the material life. And that's, I have a big problem with hip hop that definitely degrades our culture as black people, not just hip hop, just our culture as black people. And the thing is that the masses has to realize is that the record companies that are dealing with Puff Daddy or say Memphis Bleak or whatever, they promote that because that's what sells. You know what I'm saying? They don't really care about if it's a negative message or not. All they want to do is get paid. And the artists only see that you may go platinum. That's 1 million copies of your album being sold. An artist only will make $20,000 off of that $1 million that he sold. Now, if we can all do the math, we're not making money. They making money. What they're doing is exploiting hip hop, which they do universally. They exploit our culture universally, not just in music. You understand what I'm saying? But see, music is the hot spot right now, so they figured, yo, we're gonna milk this until it can't be milked anymore. Now, when you see hip hop culture, listen, when you see hip hop not being on television and all of that, that's when you start seeing hip hop start to lose television interest. You start seeing people sway to something else. You understand what I'm saying? Because hip hop was underground when it first started. You had Sugar Hill Gang, you had Africa Bambaataa, the Zulu Nation. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these young cats don't even understand who they are. You know what I mean? And that's the beginning of the music that you're loving today. That's why you see your Puff Daddy. That's why you see who else? Basically, it's everybody in the market right now. Everybody from the, you know what I mean? And then you have the underground side of hip hop, who are still conscious, but they do not get the recognition because they don't. White America doesn't want you to see the conscious side of hip hop. They don't want you knowing who Public Enemy just released another album, but you didn't know about it. You understand what I'm saying? So people just got to take heed to what you're looking at, because what you're looking at is not always what it seems.
Terry, I want to respond to something you said too. And I'm saying that I don't like that term. Some of you might disagree with me, but basically, what America has turned African Americans into is a bunch of whores. Okay. Now, what do I say? Anytime that I got 50% of my youth running around talking about I'm gonna be in the NBA, I'm gonna be a rapper, versus having any of the skills, even thinking about learning these things, there's something wrong. Because what's happened is, with the advent of what you call hip hop or rap, this was a vehicle that a lot of black youths felt like, well, I can make money. I can make money, right? I can't get no jobs. I ain't finished high school. I can rap. Well, we've been rapping since we were African. They were called griots, all right? Storytellers. Nothing new about that. I mean, the last poets for me and Imam Baraka are the original rappers. Okay, they had albums out years ago for rap existed. But of course, a lot of my little brothers out here now, if you mention last poets, you tell them that they call old school, which is a joke. I mean, I hear little kids talking about old school, like you don't even know live about what old school is. You know, old school is Little Richard. You want to know what old school is, okay? All you little brothers out here be talking about, I don't like rock and roll. Yeah. The basis of all the music that you're listening to, that we call modern music today, is rock and roll, which was started not by Elvis Presley, but by Little Richard, by Chuck Berry. Okay, people that you don't even like probably, and blues music that you don't even listen to. You got to understand something. America is like this. White people are very interesting because they can appreciate other people's culture. They can appreciate the things they like about it. They don't have to necessarily like the people that made it, but they can appreciate what you've done. And that's why they take it. Like I say, the brothers come on, oh man, white boy, you came back, that's silly. Anybody who's lived on this planet who has gone through trials and tribulations can rap. Everybody has a story. I mean, they might not do it in the style that you like, but the idea, I mean, that silly thing about, oh, you know, white boys, when they're broke as rappers. I mean, that's, what that is insecurity. Because we have so little we control, we like to believe somehow we got some kind of personal thing going on. And it's a joke, okay? It's a joke. Because hip-hop, just like rock and roll, it'll change, it'll evolve, 20 years from now, it'll be something else. And there'll be brothers sitting on the corners 40 years old talking, well, you know, I was almost like old dirty bastard, and I was gonna be, Wu-Tang's gonna pick me up. Meanwhile, life's going on. And you know, what you said about the civil rights, this is important to understand. A very small percentage of black people in this country were involved in the civil rights movement. The majority of them sat at the porches and look, you couldn't even get them to come out and demonstrate. You couldn't get them to do nothing. All right? When I went to Howard University in '64, I was there when they had the first student strike. I had the pleasure of throwing the president's huge picture of out the windmill. We trashed the building, we did everything, right? But what I remember most is that we had more conflict with fraternity niggas, male and female. They would not support any of the marches. We said, you know, don't go to school, they stay out of classes. We actually got in fights with them. All right, here we are trying to make significant changes that would benefit them, and the majority of them had nothing to do with it. I went back to Howard 20 years later. You know what I found out? Some of these same reactionary niggas are now in positions at the university. They're teachers, they're instructors, professors, and they haven't changed. So what does that mean? They're putting their same ignorant, negative, materialistic values on the young people. The ones who are your age who are going to college now. That's why you got puff daddies and the little miniature baby capitalists, or they think they are. You know, anytime you got puff daddy running around talking to him and Donald Trump like that means something, I mean, get over it. Get over it. You know, the idea of like, because I got money now, these people like me. They don't like you, they tolerate you. Right? So understand something about the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement in terms of black and white people, it was a very small percentage of both who actively were involved. The masses of your relatives did do nothing.
But it changed things.
Yeah, it changed. The sad thing about it changed, but the bad thing about it is that the masses who should have been involved weren't. And that's why a lot of young people today are so materialistic and so empty, because their parents were never involved. They'll sit up and talk and stuff about, oh, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. When they people were alive, you couldn't drag them to see Malcolm X. You couldn't drag them, you couldn't give them free tickets to go see it. And some of these same hypocrites now, who are my age, will pontificate on it. You know, back in the days, they had afros and combs. That was the extent of their consciousness. And you have to understand. All right? It needs to be very clear. Because I'm so sick of seeing some of these vampires on television who 20 years ago, you couldn't have got them involved in nothing. And now they're in the name of so-and-so. I dedicate. Get out of here. All right? All mass movements are always composed of small amounts of people, not the masses. That's why people say, well, why is it going through all these changes? And people are all these political prisoners like Mumia Abu-Jamal, they're in prison now. But why did things change bigger? Because there wasn't a lot of people involved. The mass of people didn't care, they didn't get involved. Now they benefited from it. The ones who were middle class, they got jobs and everything. But they never had any consciousness. They were not Afrocentric then, and they ain't Afrocentric now. Just because you wear dashiki and got dreadlocks, don't say nothing about what's going on in here. Right? Thank you.
Sorry, I left and came back, so I may have missed some of the real key points. But I want to try to bring maybe, from my perspective, a historical perspective to this. Because one of the things I see as one of the biggest problems among us is reconciling among ourselves those of us who are in the house or in the mainstream are leveraging from within, and those of us who are working on empowerment. Historically, we've really had trouble reconciling those two approaches, and oftentimes we let outsiders make those two approaches, who are both necessary, seem to be at odds with each other. And we've heard Malcolm and others talk about the house Negro and the field Negro, and you can't generalize the house Negro because some people in the house were leveraging for people in the field. They were bringing clothes out, they were bringing food out, they were learning how to read, coming back in the field at night teaching people. So we can't generalize everybody in the house or everybody in the field. There's qualities among each group. We know among the W.B. Du Bois who had the talented 10th concept, that 10% of the African Americans are going to get education, going to get wisdom, going to get understanding and leverage and work for the rest. And then there was Booker T. Washington, a contemporary, who said, cast your bucket down where you are and build an empowerment process from within. But unfortunately, they didn't reconcile their two movements. Probably the best historic example of how to reconcile both movements is in Frederick Douglass. If you want to talk about a rapper, You listen to some of his words rapping within the system to leverage for the Emancipation Proclamation. Had the ear of Lincoln, had the ear of Congress people, Senate people, etc. Had the ear of business people, world leaders. He was rapping, leveraging from within, but he was best friends with Harriet Tubman, who was an empowerment person who led the Underground Railroad, and we know Buffalo is a great historic site for that railroad on the way up to Canada. Canada had a queen who was related to a lady named Charlotte Mecklenburg back in England, who had African blood in her. In fact, there's a city in North Carolina called Charlotte, and it's in the county of Mecklenburg that if you trace it, you track some of that African roots in terms of the history. But then in the 60s, we had the great move for integration. Nothing wrong with shopping at the mall, nothing wrong with being able to live in the neighborhood, but if you don't bring the empowerment approach right along with it, then as we get these benefits to shop out there, we stop shopping with each other. As we get these benefits to move out there, we stop interacting with each other. And what our challenge is today is how do we reconcile those two approaches? We have some people like Ms. Ray that's in the system, and she's trying to leverage from within, and she's here in an empowerment program. She's one of a few that do that, but we've got to do more to try to bring those entities together. And I think historically the best model we have is Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. Most other movements that were going in both directions, empowerment and mainstream, saw themselves as enemies at odds, even Martin and Malcolm, even W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. As great as they all were, historically they didn't reconcile those two approaches. So my challenge is that we have more forums like this, bring more people that are in the mainstream and empowerment together at the same table so we can learn how as we move to get benefit from the system, we don't forget that we still got to turn resources, money, and support over within our own community. Thanks.
I'd like to say, in the beginning was the Word. And that's key to this here thing as far as I'm concerned. People got to know how important the Word is. You know, because we're more intelligent than Englishmen. We speak English better than the Englishmen. We talk out of bastard tongue. I mean, listen, all the movements from Harriet Tubman to all had to do with a spiritual thing. Because when we got into the money thing, when we all got jobs, we stopped looking out behind us. We stopped dealing. That money got a power. And you have to be really powerful to refuse money for your people. It's got to be about love. And we're the richest people on the face of the earth. We're poor in comprehension. And it's just uncommon sense. I come from a common sense school. If everybody comes to my community and get rich, peasants, farmers from all over the world comes to the black diaspora to get rich, then that means that I'm rich. Because ain't nobody coming at nobody 200,000 miles away but niggas and get nothing. Okay, everybody else is coming. And we're victims. Okay, Negroes and niggas are the only thing that Europeans created. That's a creation. And we have to get out of that creation and find our way back. And the word is very key. That's why I can appreciate the hip-hop brothers. And I know how spiritual we are. Because all those brothers that did hip-hop, that started hip-hop and started to break dance, they were in these ghettos of America. Didn't have no jobs, didn't have nothing to do. And they came up with breakdance, and the Jews co-opted and made money. Came up with hip-hop, the Jews co-opted and made money. We create, but we don't have no self-love and no self-esteem. We are the creators. We are the children of the creators. We are the children of the prophets. If any prophets is going to be for seed, it's going to be through the children. If any peace is going to be in this world, it's going to be through the children. Us, we have a big responsibility and we can't be ego tripping. It's got to be our love. When we say things out of our mouth, it's got to touch each person. Okay, because when you say profound things, it touches people. When you just talk about academics, you talk about business, you talk about making money, but our lives are involved. Our very lives are involved in the wilderness here. And if we don't stop disliking one another, we're going to all be out of here. Because they don't have no need for us no more. Their children are ignorant too. They have to give their children the jobs. Okay? I've struggled and went to jail for my people. And I see my people now with big jobs hiring white people. In Buffalo, man, I mean housing, all of them. You go every place, you see white people working. It's because we don't love each other, because it's just natural. If I see a bunch of white people working in my community and my brothers and I working, it's natural for me to throw a brick. It's just natural, because that's the Lord now. I'm not offending nobody. If I offend you, what the hell am I doing to you? I offend you because you're taking the jobs out of my community. Okay, and a man has to be willing to die for something. Even Martin Luther King was a Negro. He was not a black nationalist. He loved Jesus and he went in the street. Because that's real. If you're loving anybody, you got to go in the street because your people are dying in the street. And the only thing we coming up is with the things that God gave us to create. Rock, breakdance, and rap. But we have to control those things. And the only way we control those things is loving you one another, networking with one another, not be networking with the white man that's beating you. Network with, they got brothers that's millionaires right in this town. And I'm saying if I get a group of people, I'll challenge any black man that's a millionaire and ain't putting no money in the the Afro-American Cultural Center or the Langston Hughes Center, nonprofit organizations, all these brothers here that's promoters in here. When brothers come in this town and make some money, we should see that they leave the tax with a nonprofit organization. We got to be dealing with 360 degrees. We can't be dealing with me. We're going to die with that. And God keeps giving us things. That rap is hip. I used to be the elder for X-Clan. Okay, Wu-Tang Clan. There are people talking about revolution. They ain't talking about no partying and smoking blunts and drinking beers. All the brothers drinking beers and smoking blunts, they're the enemy to themselves. Because they're the enemy to me. Because the stuff they're putting in them is making them ugly. And anytime you can get anything free without no problems in Babylon, you better give it up. That's real now. We're talking real stuff here. When you leave here, you're getting some keys, okay? Because your life is involved. This ain't just, we go to meetings, niggas be clapping, carrying on. And I mean, man, I told when they had Khalid Mohammed in here, and they asked me to speak, you know, it's just common sense, man. I ain't into no academic sense. I want to save my life, and I want my people to be saved. And as simple as this, if the man that puts you into slavery, puts you into bondage, tells you not to beat your children, and he's building jails, what are black men doing here? What are black men? The children gotta be confused. The black men walking around acting like chickens with their heads cut off, following the carrot. The man give us a carrot and give us a couple of money and rob the rules of order. We just later for our people, later for everything. And we're going to suffer because in the end it's going to be us. Regardless of what's happening, you can run. But at the end you're going to have to come back home. So you might as well start now becoming heroes. Ain't no sense because we used to make heroes out of niggas. Put them up in front of riots. Okay, put them in front of riots. Because they do more in front of the gun than behind and jugging at niggas all day long.
And that's one word we've been trying to get rid of.
No, but it's a reality. It's a reality.
The nigger word. We've been trying to get rid of that word.
I gotta say the reason why I say it all the time, because I deal in the community with people. And you have to deal with the level of the mentality you're dealing with. And there's a nigger mentality, there's a Negro mentality, and there's a new black man mentality. If I go talking to a nigger any kind of way, you're going to say, what is he talking about? What is he talking about? My life depends on my people. I ain't separating it. Okay, and I'm saying, if I'm dealing with my people and I love my people, I got to call it like it is, regardless of who I offend.
No doubt.
You can use the language, but you're absolutely right. There's various levels of us, and conversation is necessary to be able to talk to each and every one. But if we're talking about the children, if we're talking about trying to empower each other, then we need to give the elders, you to give explanation for why we do the things we do. Sherry's here.
And also,
I'm sure,
I just want to say
let me
this.
say this.
Let me
Finish this. Okay, you're open.
Before I lose, that was going to say something. I went to jail at 8 years old, and I kept going to jail until I got out the Army. I went to Rikers Island once, and I went to Denver Federal Correctional Institution. And when I got out of it, I got into the movement. And the dialogue was, we gonna beat the nigga out of you. Okay, I got into martial arts, it was beating me. Every time the nigga come out there, I started acting belligerent, they throw me up against the wall. Because our problem is us. We got things that have been put in us to make us not like each other. What are you saying?
Is that what that was? An exorcism going on?
Yeah, man. You're right. That's what went on.
And let me say this, because I see you got a couple people that want to speak. The reason why I raised the issue is primarily, Sherry is a good example. I think there's two Europeans in the audience. And in mixed circles, you hear white people raise the issue all the time. Why is it that y'all can call each other niggers, but every time we call you a nigger, you're offended?
Because I come out on black woman.
So this is what, so that's why we needed the elder to explain how is it that we continue to use that word. Now, of course, I knock my nieces and nephews upside the head every time they go there, but I also have a nephew who's in hip-hop. And so there's a different kind of language going on with them. But trying to teach and empower the children and the young people, I think we need to give explanation.
I don't want my children to be that. I don't want my children to be what I was. I don't want my children to be that. That's why I'll tell them in a minute, don't be that. Because then you're infiltrated by your enemy.
All right. For the brothers and sisters who just came in and picked up on this beautiful discussion, I got energy. Thank you. Woo. I would like for you, if you have a question or comment, to kind of form a line here so that we can see who has something to say. If they can just form a little path right here and line up behind each other so that we can see what you have to say. Therefore, we won't miss anything. I don't want to miss any one of you because this energy is real. You know, so those of you who are now ready to ask your questions, if you could just get in the line as the cameras move. Once again, I want you to know that these are your friends. This is your family.
Love to hear.
It is a lot, and I'm doing it. So right now, I want to ask the brother right here.
I want to basically say this. What the brother and sister were going through was healthy dialogue, it was reasoning, and it wasn't no argument. They were both the same, two sides of the same argument. And I had a problem when I heard of hip-hop verses, too. In fact, we had a reasoning a while back, and I was saying it should be hip-hop meets, because we need to come together. Because we're all part of the same family, we're all part of the same struggle. And we all have the same goals, liberation, which is freedom, justice, and equality. It's about being free property of the people. And part of that freedom, a part that ties into that so-called civil rights, which was more about human rights, like Brother Simba said, it's more about human rights than about civil rights. Or the hip-hop culture is language. It's about language liberation. And we've all been given a tongue. We all have been given words that we just pick up on and talk about and use and don't even think about the words we use. The whole thing about black-white is a whole nonsense reality that was set up by some European people who wanted to control the world, who wanted to control economics, so they separated people between black and white. And that don't even really exist. There's African people, there's European people, there's Asian people. The European people, specifically so-called white people, don't get along with each other except in opposition to black people or people of African descent. That's why you had these so-called world wars. What was world wars? They were European wars that basically involved the whole world. The whole thing about language liberation, we have been given language that we need to just check ourselves, like the brother said, if we want to carry over a lot of the things that we've inherited, and we want to carry it over to the next generation. One of the words that sticks real hard to go into my ear and to rest with any kind of peace is that whole idea of slaves. That whole idea of slaves. We all have been taught that our ancestors were slaves. We've all been told that. When you go through the whole history thing, you go through a whole history thing about all kinds of stuff, and you get to think about our ancestors were slaves. Talk truth. We were never slaves, we were enslaved. There's a difference. When you tell people they were slaves, they start feeling bad about themselves and bad about their grandmama and bad about their mama, and not feeling bad about that criminal who kidnapped their mama, who kidnapped their daddy, and put them in slavery. You call that person who did that kidnapping, he called himself a master. And you take that same language and call him that. He was not a master. Stop calling him that. He was an enslaver, a kidnapper, a murderer, a rapist, and worse. All the problems that you have facing you right now, child molestation, everything you can think of, he started. And it was part of his law, part of his right. You know, so you got to start putting the onus on him. You got to tell the truth. Going into 2000, you know, one of my phrases for this year is no more whitewash, no more lies. That doesn't mean that the people who are doing the whitewashing ain't going to pay you, but it can mean that we ain't going to accept it. And we can recognize truth in our own mind, we know truth is what it is, and we ain't going to accept the whitewashing. If you're going to kill, you're going to still pay. Everything you say, you're going to try to put in something else. But you got to learn, like Malcolm said, you have to learn to think with your own mind at this time. We have to launch a cultural revolution to unbrainwash an entire people. And that's what hip-hop has the power to do. Launch a cultural revolution to unbrainwash an entire people. And that doesn't mean black people, because white folks is listening to hip-hop deeper, you know.
That means
unbrainwash an entire people.
All of humanity.
All you gotta do is speak the truth, and the ancestors are with you. The ancestors are behind us 100%. And you know, I know when I was coming up, it was very clear what our goal was when I was coming up. It was about freedom. You know, my parents made me very clear to understand that what we had, even though they had an Emancipation Proclamation, that we in this country were not yet free. We were still bowing down to somebody called the master, somebody we called the man, and it was a liberation. It was language liberation for me to be in a nationalist community. The first time I heard the white boy called a boy. So he said, the man is coming, the boy is coming.
Yeah, but
It puts you in a different perspective. You understand who you are and where you are as a free, proud, and productive people. And that's what we have to be determined to be. A free, proud, and productive people. A little quick poem. I don't know where I picked it up, but it said, as you go through life, no matter what your goal, you keep your eye on the donut and not on the hole.
All right, thank you. Salute you. I don't mean to take up all the time, but I was just replying to my Muslim brother. He left. But my Muslim brother had made a comment about how Frederick Douglass was a rapper, and how he used to rap to the system, corporate America, and so on. So I just wanted to make a comment on his comment, which is whether it's civil rights, hip hop, whether it's death, destruction, whether it's peace, harmony. If black solidarity is not the issue, then it's not relevant. And black solidarity this is why everybody's stronger than blacks, because no matter what shade of color they are, if you're Puerto Rican, no matter how many different shades of color it is, you're still Puerto Rican. If you're black, no matter what shade it is, you still should be focusing on being black. And that's why the Italians are so strong, because no matter what their shades are, they still Italian. Puerto Ricans, they have their own country. Within all this mayhem, a little island, that's a whole country. Why? Because they have so many different shades, yet their focus is still solidarity. So, you know, the key to civil rights and hip hop, if it ain't black solidarity, then it's irrelevant.
I got to speak to one point you made, not intelligent. If you know anything about the history of Puerto Rico, you'll find out that Puerto Ricans can be equally as racist. All right? Right now, Puerto Rico today, okay? Today.
That's solidarity.
Excuse me. Right now, Puerto Rico today, there's a heavy class division based on color. All right? Right now, Puerto Rico today, people of dark skin complexion get very little jobs and very little professional careers, okay? This is not something I'm thinking about, something I know, because my ex-lady from Panama, and she was over there as a insurance, claims adjuster. I read books about it, I know Puerto Ricans over the years. So let's also understand that Puerto Ricans were slaves, okay? The only difference between Puerto Ricans and me is they dropped me off second, okay? So that's not romanticized. Puerto Ricans, yeah, very Puerto Rican, all right? That's why the United States government over there dropped bombs practicing over there on Vietnam's Island, right? So my point is, people of African descent, Puerto Rican, Jamaicans, wherever you're from, That's what I'm focusing on, all right? All these little, you know, I got an island, you ain't got nothing. All right, you got a piece of land, the Europeans dropped you off, had sex with your mama, so you come out with a different complexion. All right? That's what our reality is as a people. That's why we're still talking about, I'm a Puerto Rican, but I'm not black. I'm not African descent. Like, wait a minute, there's only 3 people on the island. But England, the indigenous Indians, white Europeans, and Africans. And anytime you mix it up, we get the same kind of thing going, same complexion. I mean, to this day, in our own community, I see some sisters, light-skinned brothers say, oh man, she must be Puerto Rican. I'm like, wait. You suddenly discover you got light-skinned people in your community, and you never noticed them before? I mean, what is going on with us that we had associate looking a certain way with being, as opposed to the fact that, you see somebody who's light-skinned and got blonde hair, and I said, oh, she's an African. Oh, she can't be an African. Why not? Because she's, what? She's got blue eyes. I mean, you go to North Africa, you got every shade you can think of. And I'm saying, we as a people, I mean, in spite of what a lot of us say and give lip service to, we still don't seem to understand who is African. We still be playing them stupid games about, well, she can't be African because her hair is too black. I'm like, man, wait, look, you go in your own family, every shade you got, all right? I got blonde, I got blue eyes, my mother's light skin, I got white. I mean, what's the deal, okay? What's the deal? Why do you think when they have all these videos, rap videos, why is it, think about it, why is the majority of sisters are light skinned, have semi-straight hair, and the majority, if it was males, the rappers, they're dark skinned. Because they're playing the games again, right? All these beautiful dark-skinned little black girls, how come they don't have them? They got Lauryn Hill, and you have people making remarks about her, even black people. Getting an attitude with her, I'm like, what? Why? Because suddenly they're saying that she's beautiful, that her music is great, and you ain't got no problem with somebody light skinned, but suddenly, I mean, that's something wrong with us as a people, especially black men. Black men, all right? Because we're fostering these games, we're encouraging our women to run around and buy 5,000 pounds of hair. And get these stupid and all these things because they think that's what we want. And then we call them names when they get it. And then you wonder why we're so schizophrenic, so nutty and crazy. You know, we are buying into our own insanity and either we know it or we don't want to acknowledge it. And I'm saying people that are in the media, whether you're on television, whether you're on the radio, if you're involved in promoting music or anything, sure, there's all kind of hip-hop, really negative stuff. Some people like it, I understand that, so you're going to play it. And I'm saying, put a disclaimer on it. Say something fine. Say, look here, okay, some of y'all out here think that women are pigeons and all that. That's what y'all think. I'm telling you personally, my mama and my sisters and my babies ain't no pigeons. Now, if y'all think that's what you're dealing with, then you got a problem. All you brothers go around and call each other, my dog. I ain't no dog. Spell dog backwards, that's what I am. I'm a God. I ain't no dog. Y'all brothers need to be conscious of that.
No doubt.
I like dogs. I like dogs. All right? But I ain't no dog. When I have sex, I don't sleep with no bitches. A bitch is a female dog. I got 4 daughters. And ain't none of them no bitches last time I checked, okay? So what I'm saying is, if you don't like the kind of woman you with, then be the kind of man that she'll want to be that kind of woman for. All right? Men are always, brothers kill me. They're always like down to sisters about this and that, but then they be running to one of these same little girls. You know, and then the little girls, they get all messed up. They don't know which way to turn. Because if your own men don't like you, you know, brother, one minute he like you, then your butt's too big, or this is too big. Women will go around saying, man, get rid of that stomach, get some hair. But we always want to find all these things. I'm saying, make up your mind. As men, as black men, we have to understand something. If you don't like your own women, then how the hell is anybody else going to like it? And when they make jokes about it, you can't get upset. Niggas come in when white people say something racist about, you know, you said something about my women. Don't give me that. All right? Because a lot of things that white people get, they get it from us. They get it from us. All right? And it's very important, if you're involved with any kind of hip-hop things, that when you see these certain things going on, when it's time to get dancers or something, that they only select all the light-skinned girls, say something. Pull that brother aside and say, man, there's something wrong with you colorblind or what? We come in all different shades, all right? We come in all different shades. Stop focusing on it. Stop focusing on this kind of madness and understand what you are doing. If you got that kind of mindset, you don't want to be honest about it, I like light-skinned sisters, but that's all I like, right? Then you need to be thinking about what is wrong with me? Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel this way? Why do I see such a dark skin that's equally as beautiful? I ain't got nothing, I ain't got time for her, but any girl that's light skinned, I don't care if she looks like death on the graham cracker, I'm all over her. Something is wrong with you. And you need to be checking each other, your little friend, your brothers, and all that dog stuff. Stop
call yourself dogs, man. The only time we was dogs was when Egypt existed. They had the ancient mystical religion, Kemet. That's what it was called. And they had what was the Anubis? Okay, Anubis was the jackal. Okay, he wasn't even really a dog. He was a jackal. All right. And I ain't crazy about being a jackal because I eat carrot. But that wasn't musical. I'm saying at least you're gonna call yourself something that people say, wow, I like it. All right, I like it. I tell my little brothers, I said, man, would you rather be a god or a dog? They don't think 2 seconds. I'd rather be a dog. Well, if you understand that, why you keep calling yourself dog? Get emotional.
First, I want to commend Compass Production for putting this on. I only wish that it really was a versus thing, and it was a hip-hop side to debate some of the issues that are being spoken about today. It seems more like it's civil rights scolding young kids. And I'm not an expert at communication, but I communicate with a lot of young kids. And one thing I learned not to do is to scold them on the things they do. You got to learn to communicate and talk to them. And if kids, as I sat back here and listened to everyone, you guys giving out knowledge, wisdom, and everything you're saying is correct. But some people have a way of trying to talk to them as though they're their parents. And kids have been kids grow up learning to tune some of that out when they're being scolded. They don't want to sit there and take all that in. So many points I want to cover, but I'm only going to speak on 2. One is, real quick, the licensing issue, music videos. I directed over 36 music videos. And just to make the record clear, there's always a casting call for extras and videos. And 9 times out of 10, when we did a casting call, 90% of the girls that showed up to the casting calls were light-skinned women because they knew they would get the part. Dark-skinned women were afraid to go out, they were afraid they wouldn't get the part. And then what happens is, people look at the video and think, oh, that was only like light-skinned girls. So it's just a little bit of misinformation there because I've been on that side of the fence. I've seen it happen time and time again. I've actually asked artists, why don't you pick darker-skinned girls? They will. There's only 1 or 2 of them that show up at casting call. Now, if more dark-skinned women went out to casting call to try to get the job, there may have been some artists out there who would pick more dark-skinned women than light-skinned women. So that's just a note on that fact. 2 is that I want to say what Brother Kamal talked about again is the whole, I was a little confused in the beginning as to where this was going because I thought it was going to be kind of a hip-hop versus civil rights era. I know hip-hop is hard to get them to come out and really sit down and defend their culture and their art because so many are involved in so much of the negativity. But not all rap, not all hip-hop is negative. And you got to understand that even when you try to criticize rap, there's a lot of cats out here doing a lot of positive things. There's a lot of cats that I even taped not too long ago who did a whole freestyle session where the whole concept was to freestyle rap without cussing. And that was a positive effort on them to try to go ahead and just come off the top of their head and rhyme without using negative adjectives and verbs. So you got to give credit to those cats who do try to do the right thing. And one more thing is I also recommend the brother and Dark, you guys talked about, and I felt the same way. The Public Enemy, the Puppy video, we played it on our show, and I said the same thing. I'm glad to see that I wasn't the only one. Public Enemy was talking about one thing, here's Puppy talking about another. And it's interesting because I wanted to actually come back on and talk about that, but every time I seem to try to do like what Brother Fulani says, is try to criticize an artist, I get phone calls talking about stop being a player here. And so it's a bit of a balancing game you got to try to work out when you communicate with kids. They don't want to be preached to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Sometimes they just want to enjoy themselves and listen to the music. And not all the music, like I said, it's bad. Some of the music is a positive, but there's a lot of negative vibes in hip-hop. And true, the system, the record companies, the executives of these record labels do promote negative music more than positive because negative music sells. But then you got to ask yourself, who's buying all that negative music? And then you got to turn and focus on them people who are sitting there who will go out to the store and buy NWA or Jay-Z or Nas or anything like that. So it's a little bit of a, and I'm hoping, the whole reason here this week, I can't stay long, but I'm hoping that you can try to do this again. And if so, try to bring some cats from the hip-hop community that think that they can defend their art and do that instead of, I'm sitting here and I'm not hearing anyone from the hip-hop community get up and say anything based on hip-hop.
I made a statement about that. Are you familiar with Wu-Tang Clan?
Wu-Tang Clan?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that much negative in these groups?
I mean, now, you have to do my own opinion on Wu-Tang.
I'm asking you.
Okay. My opinion on Wu-Tang Clan really took what at one point there was this East Coast, West Coast thing. The cats from the West Coast, which I was out there, were talking about the way they live every day. They wake up, if they live in certain, you lived in Compton and you had to walk through Compton every day, you had to get blood or crip or you're going to get killed. All right, so you had to make a choice when you walk out the door, even just to get to school. So these cats talked about that because that's what they seen every day of their life, and they had the right to do that. I mean, communication. Because they did that, a lot of cats on the East Coast heard their stories and understood how they were living. And I think Wu-Tang realized that we got it that hard here in New York, and they kind of started going more gritty and started talking about violence and getting money because they also associated with the fact that they don't have all the opportunities to get the greatest job, so they found another way. Wu-Tang Clan, I can't say, I'm not a big listener to Wu-Tang Clan. I listen to all their music. I know of them, I've met a few of them. We play certain videos from certain cats, but I can't say that Wu-Tang is positive or negative. I don't listen to them that closely. But
what about Clan?
X-Clan is more of a positive rap to me. X-Clan, Public Enemy.
How come people don't play them on stations like yours?
Because the people who control the stations have a good
That's what I'm saying. That's what the brother I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying. I'm here, I'm defending hip hop, and I need some backup, but this is what I'm saying. We need to just try to do this again where there's more brothers who could actually try to make a dialogue.
Because everybody on the panel, it's not like we're not defending hip hop because we all talking about hip hop, but we're talking about the negative side of hip hop. We already know that there's a positive side, like X-Clan, you got the groups, you got a whole bunch of groups that are positive in hip-hop culture. But what we're discussing is about the negative side of hip-hop culture.
Well, I didn't talk about, I didn't know that would be like...
No, because we've been talking about, why the kids feel that they need the materialistic items.
Yeah.
You don't see that on the positive side of hip-hop. So, therefore, we've already stabbed at the issue of there is two types of hip-hop. You have a positive side and you have a negative side. Why talk about the positive side if it's possible? Let's go to the negative side.
Credit is due in order to balance. You haven't given credit for credit is due. You guys been definitely all about the negative side of rap. And I'm sitting here, somebody who promotes rap and programs rap and listen and talk to kids about rap, find what they like. And
there's a movement though. See, there's a movement. Like I'm telling everybody here. If you're it ain't gonna be what so and so is not letting us do and shit. It only happens that way when you're not in a movement. Okay, when you're dealing with the economics. The economics are controlled by white America. Okay? If they can give you $1 million, $5 million to call your mother a fool, you do it. I'm saying, when you really into your people, your culture, your rap, or whatever, it's got to be a movement or else it'll be integrated by negative forces that want you to go in a certain direction. Half of them brothers that's talking the talk they're talking, they doing it for money. It ain't got nothing to do with me and you and this and that and the other.
Where are they getting that money from?
They getting it from the people that got the money.
And you ain't got no money. They go out and buy albums and make his cats platinum and double platinum.
But I'm saying, listen, we have to understand that we crazy. First thing we got to understand is we're crazy. We're trying to get back into ourselves. That's why I said earlier about being focused. Because everywhere you go, if you're not focused and you're not in the movement, your enemy is going to take you where he wants you to go.
I just want to say something, right? Everybody's sitting there, I said it for a while, I'm listening to everybody talk.
You've been good.
You got to get out there and really see and feel it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Just like a lot of these rappers make these rap records, they ain't experienced that stuff. This stuff they heard, you know what I mean? It's like when you go to jail, you what you want to be. You go to jail off the kingpin, man. You know what I mean? You do everything in jail because people don't know you. You know what I'm saying? I always learn that you lead by example, and that's what we try to do. We got an operation going on Bailey Street, where we got all positive raps. Talent shows, auditions, we just left just now. Mothers is bringing their kids down there. Churches is bringing their choirs down there. They are rapping, positive rap. So you lead by example. You go out here and get these kids, you turn them, you say, look, instead of saying bitch, say but, or anything. Just give them a word to use. What they see, they examples of what they see. They product of our community. Our children is product of us. They are us. We allow this stuff to happen in our community. We allow all this stuff to happen. I mean, the joblessness, the crime, the drugs. We allow it as parents. We sit back and complain. You know what I'm saying? You gotta sit down and listen to these kids and find out why they out there. find out what the ones that's not going to be out there, you know what I'm saying? For the last week, me and my floor alone, we put 15 people to work, full-time employment, job benefits and all that. How do we do that? It wasn't through the black community, it's all through white people. We got 3 white organizations that came to us and gave us like a temporary thing, like temporary agencies. We put kids to work. We just put 15 kids to work off the streets. No experience, no nothing. How do you get experience if you don't give them a job? First thing you do, you look at their resume. Or they've been arrested. So what, they've been arrested? Everybody here got a closet, a jacket in their closet.
Can you see what I'm saying? I'm saying exactly what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
I'm saying exactly what you're saying. If you want to reach...
One thing. If you walk right now, this little boy right here. What is he supposed to think when he grow up? When every store he sees is ran by a Arabian. Everything that he buys is bought from a white store. We have no stores in our community, no black malls, no banks, no nothing. So when he grow up, he think it's right to go shopping in the store because that's all he see. It ain't like when we came up, we had a little pop and dad stores on the corner. We just sold our soul, our community, and everything. You know what I mean? And then you talk about putting blacks in office. What difference do it make what color it is? Look at our damn community and look how many blacks in office. So what difference do it make? You know what I'm saying? We must stop being blind to the fact that our community is dying and is destroyed, and we must come back as a leader, as adults, and take it back ourselves. And quit waiting on happen. Quit waiting on politicians and preachers and all this other crap that ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? Fight for people who fight for you, like her. She fought harder than any politician in City Hall, as far as I'm concerned. Why are they targeting her? Because she ain't going with the flow. If she go with the flow, her community gonna die just like she is. So she down there fighting. But what we should do as a people, you don't depend on the Democratic Party, Steve Pigeon, to put her in office. We put her in there. You understand what I'm saying? And so this is what we gotta do. We gotta take our own community. We sit back like everything happened. Look what happened to me on April 30th. I know every one of y'all just about seen it on videotape, live as hell. Ain't nobody came out to support us. And what happened to me? A kid just as big as him, get beat up by the police, body slammed on her head, got major problems in her head right now. Who said something about it? They see me, they see him. Well, he was a troublemaker. Because I speak the truth. And I speak what I see. I don't lie. When I speak what I see. It ain't what I heard, it's what I see. You know what I'm saying? 3 judges resigned from my case. Judge Russell, African-American. Why he resigned? Because he's running for a higher office. He got something to prove to the white folks down here. He resigned from my case. When I depend on him to handle that case because he'd be a black man, then maybe I get a fair shake. Judge Tipton resigned from my case. Judge Amadeo resigned from my case. Now I got to go to court next month in court with no jury because I can't get a jury in the city of Buffalo. But where are people at? That's what's wrong with our people. This is our problem. Can't sit back and wait on handouts. We got to help our own people. You know what I mean? I'm ready to die for what I believe in. I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow or not. But I'd rather die being in the struggle than just die for sitting back complaining they doing nothing about it.
Is the message in the music?
No, I'll get back to my original point. Is that I am no expert in communication, but I communicate with a lot of kids on a regular basis. And one thing I know that if you want, I was told something when I first started doing music videos, is that you catch more flies with sugar, with honey than you do vinegar. Right? If you're going to try to communicate with kids and pass information to kids, you can't yell at them, you can't scold them, you can't point your finger and say, you're bad, that's wrong, don't do that, you're crazy, you're stupid, you're a fool. Kids ain't going to listen, they're going to tune that out and go about their business. But you got to be like Brother Simmons, you got to be able to talk to kids and understand that they have feelings too. And you got to be able to communicate with them on their level if you want them to take in what you're saying. So all I'm saying to the panel is that you can't get really mad at kids for what they do. If you're trying to communicate with them, you got to talk to them, not talk at them.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now,
Get the first sisters there.
exactly. Before we go any farther, I want you to stay for a little while. And at this point in time, I want everyone who represents the hip-hop culture to raise your hand. And I see a lot more that still need to raise their hand. Son, raise your hand.
Come on, what you do?
Okay.
Hey, keep your hands up for a minute.
Keep your hands up. Young sister, raise your hand. Brother, that's right, raise your hand. So we have these hands raised, and right about now we're going to have someone who's representing the hip-hop culture speak, because they're here. Just because they haven't been vocal about being here, they're listening, and that's what they need to start doing, because so many of them think they know it all. You know what I'm saying? So many of them think they got all the answers. That's why they're taking the wrong path in which they're going. And that's why I'm glad that the things were said today. And I'm glad that they're here. listening to what was said today, because if you don't listen, you don't know. And I teach my class every single day, and I want you to be sure that you back me up on this. I tell you, when you know better, you do better. Is that what I tell you when I'm with you? Excuse me, is that what I tell you? And that's mine. So that when you know better, you do better. They don't have to say a word if they don't want to, but they're listening because they have not gotten up and walked out. They took out the time in their little schedules away from the TV that is hypnotizing them, away from the outdoors, which is killing them, crucifying them, and they hear. So they listening. And that's the first step. Now we go hear what they have to say.
Speak.
Hello. I think that a lot of young people, in order to bring up our community, more young people like my age, need to start going out into the community and talking to people. Because, like a lot of people say, young people don't listen to their elders. They don't like to hear people tell them, well, you know, this is what you have to do, this is what you need to do. Because if they so, well, he don't know what he's talking about, he's not going to do what I'm going to do. And I think that people our age who know what they're going through need to start talking to them, because, like, it's a lot of people, like myself, others who know what they should be doing, know the right thing, and they just don't do anything about it. I think that we should have more organizations and everything to try to help bring out the people that know and to talk to the people who don't know. And that I go through the black community a lot of times and I see black men and women standing on the corner selling drugs, doing this, doing that. And it makes me sad sometimes to see them do that, because it's so much more that they can do. They can go to school, they can get an education, they can do so much stuff, but they don't know. And they need more young people to tell them that, because they'll listen to us. They'll go out and they'll do what they need to do. They'll, you know, get more involved with their community. And I think we need to start having different, like, demonstrations and things so that people see that there are things like this to bring out our community, to raise people up. Because a lot of young people, they just care about themselves. And if you only care about yourself, you're not going to go anywhere in life. Because nobody else is going to be there to lift you up. So, more young people need to get out and get involved.
My name is S.P.O. Nard. I'm a hip-hop artist, so I'm definitely representing hip-hop. I feel that the panel, really, they guide, more of guidance. I feel like it's guidance as an artist. I feel like it's more guidance, more so than telling us what to do. You know, so I think it's, if you're an artist in the industry, you know what's guidance and what's somebody telling you, you know, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. I know some of the panelists. I don't know everybody. I know Sola, her company. I know Doc Martin. I see the brother around all the time at Habib's Body Works. I've seen this brother around a few times. She was at the, what's it?
Beverly Gray.
Beverly Gray. I've heard y'all see her face around everywhere. So anyway, representing hip hop, I like to say peace to you know, some of the pioneers, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, Poor Righteous Teachers, KRS-One. A lot of hip hop artists, you know, they represented with positivity. Well, that's those type of brothers I was listening to coming up. Gangstar. Now some new brothers coming out. Black Star representing with some, you know, the Roots. A lot of brothers coming with messages that I can listen to, because I can't listen to everything. And I like to say, like Rakim, he was like an artist who basically used to show a lot of gold and silver, and well, not silver, but he had bangles, and one of the first people I saw wearing a lot of gold. And that's part of the hip hop culture, but you know, so it's not more about whether or not somebody got the resources that they took to Africa and wearing it, because that's like a way that we use to get people to listen to us. sort of, that was how it was. We want happiness now. We want access to happiness. The same way they rocked us to sleep with the civil rights movement or the human rights movement, however you want to put it. They rocked us to sleep. They killed all of our leaders, and then somehow we went back to perms and forgot about the bush and all that. The same thing. That's what's happening with hip hop. So they're rocking us to sleep with a different message. It ain't got necessarily what to do with what you're wearing, because those guys were wearing the same thing. They were doing it as like, look, this is what you can do. You can come up, you can have gold and stuff too. Have good fun, godly fun, have a message with it also, and still shine like the kings and such that you were. Some of us were kings. Some of us was farmers, but some of us were kings. Some of us use poetry, and God gives us the ability to put the words together and make it, good. Some people use the method of drug selling and such now. They're putting out a negative message. A lot of good people like Jay-Z now, he's a talent, but what he's using his talent in a way that I can't really appreciate, because he's good with punchlines and stuff. As a poet, I can judge other artists and tell, yeah, he's good, but at the same time, what are you telling us? What are you saying? You're always talking about what you have, always bragging, and that type of thing really irks an MC who sees the problem and how it affects the community as a problem, or an artist, I say, not an MC. I don't want to take up too much time, but like I said, you're right. The brother, the point DT made was mention the good and the bad. So we got to give shouts out to all those who did good. So peace to those that I mentioned.
Before you leave, I just want to ask you a question. Many of us from the baby boomers are listening to Solid Gold Soul, 1400. Are you familiar with the music?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good. In that era, that was my era, the message was in the music, okay? The language, the lyrics, all had a statement. Even Marvin Gaye going through his drug abuse with cocaine, still had a message in the music that permeated our behaviors in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Right.
In my efforts to understand and accept hip-hop, I guess it's the negative side that that tune makes me turn the station when I hear it.
Right.
We're not hearing a lot of, and I dare to speak for many of the baby boomers, but we're not hearing a lot of the positive hip-hop that's out there. DT's show does bring to the east of Buffalo, New York, an opportunity to hear and see. And just recently, I think, music had begun to bring out certain words. What I'm trying to find out from the hip hop group now is there a message in the music? Are you trying to impact on our 7, 8, 9, 10, 11? How old are you, sister? 15? 18, little 10, 18. Is your message trying to impact on them some kind of social change or some positive behavior? I know it's all about business. I understand the business aspect, I understand dollars and cents. But as you said, God gave you a gift to create and put the lyrics together and to do it without music in many, many cases. But even the poets had a message for those that were in the 60s during the riots. There was a message there to get us organized and get us involved and assure us of the message. Is there a message in the hip hop?
Right. Same way, Lyndon B. Johnson, he was like a warmonger. He wasn't talking about coming to Martin Luther King said. And the only reason why he said it because it was important. He was trying to rock us to sleep. The same way they're doing now. Once we get in there, we might start off with a positive album, but eventually they're gonna keep injecting, poison into the system until you disease.
How do you fight that as a hip hop artist?
Struggle. I mean, like you got really it's a blessing. If a God puts struggle on you and you still look at yourself as an artist or as an amateur, and as you struggle and you see that your skills might be a little bit better than the next man. He got more than you. He's an MC too. He got gold rings and all that, but when it comes down to just straight raw talent, it's a show that the audience decides who won, and it's not based on your merits in society. The audience will pick, you because of the struggle that was going through while you were creating what you create. So as an artist,
the best art you get is usually through the struggle that you put into it. Not just the flash.
Also, to even elaborate on what he was saying, I think that the hip hop artists that are out have a responsibility to the culture. You know what I mean? As far as censoring themselves. If they know that the record labels are saying, we want you to put Vintage Shake the Butt, all of that on your album, and you know that that's not what you're about, you have to check yourself. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of the artists aren't checking themselves. So we have to look, as far as like the brother was saying earlier, ourselves. We have the problem with ourselves. You know what I mean? Because what they do is they put a plate of food on the table for you. You're a little hungry right now. So they put a full plate of meat and potatoes on you for you to go grab something. You understand what I'm saying? Once you grab it, they got you. And see, a lot of times, a lot of cats come into it full-heartedly, and they come into it with positive ambitions of doing something for the community. But when they get out of it, their whole career is destroyed. Prime example, Hammer. I wasn't really down with Hammer when he was positive when he first came out. But when he left, he broke, bankrupt, spending $40 million on a house or something like that. I mean, where's the management of the money and how is it given back to his community? I see a lot of people that are artists that are out that aren't even giving back to the community. You understand what I'm saying? And that's a problem. That's a problem, see, because what we do is we gain, okay, we got to get our own house out in the suburbs, we got to do this, we got to get this type of quota. But once you get that, you forget where you came from. See, that's a problem.
Yep.
See, you prosper, you leave with all that wealth. But where you came from, you know it was poverty, but you stay out here with the wealth.
So do you agree that it goes back to what we were saying earlier, is that it's all about self-sacrifice? So does it mean that the guy with the food,
the best rappers are like the best people who are in the civil rights, or the human rights movement.
No doubt.
Who know what it was for, what it was about.
Those guys sacrifice. They sacrifice. Say, hey, no, this is my creation, this is my talent. I'm not going to let you change it. I'm not going to let you make it something that it's not. And instead of taking the plate of food, that's the same.
We just think of one example, like Public Enemy, the NAA. Okay, they made them the records, you know how they made them anti-government, anti-police records, and they got shut down. And they had to go refocus and come back. Now they're back again. Now they're making the same music again, but they got their own thing. And that's what we have to know how to do. You can't expect people that you're going to talk about to help you. You understand what I'm saying? You must find a way to help your damn self. You know what I'm saying? That's the bottom line.
I like to put something into that from what the brother said over there. Anytime a black child goes in the world to do anything, if it's not commitment and struggle involved, they ain't gonna make it. And I mean, like them brothers in the hip hop world, I be running around with some of them dudes. Them dudes are half of them killers. I mean, them cats, man, you can't go up there talking about what you gonna be unless you're ready to struggle. Because people, your own folks will take you out. No, we ain't get that level. That's another level. We talking about hip hop now. But I'm saying, you gotta have a struggle. You gotta have a struggle.
What you gonna bring in Tupac? There you go.
But what took them out was the word.
The government.
The word took them out.
That's what
the government is in everybody's head. If you ain't focused, it'll take you out. Okay, because anytime, like I said in the beginning, anytime somebody got you talking about yourself and your own people, if you want to do it for a couple of pieces of silver, then you come and you go. All those cats come and go. They don't stay here forever. Like
what do you mean when you say the word?
And the last poets and this and that and the other. These people, they even X-Clan was involved in demonstrations in Brooklyn. When things went down, they got down. It wasn't just about talking black. It was about being black. And when you're doing something real, you can go all the way. But if you're just dealing for a couple pieces of pennies, you're going to go just like everybody else. Come and go, come and go, come and go.
Good evening. My name is Barry. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was sitting home laying on my bed. I wasn't trying to come here today, but my girl was like, "Come on, today they got the forum. Come on." So me and Janae go back.
God bless your sister.
That's it. And I always support anything she's doing because we try to do our own little thing. When we tried to do it, it seemed like everybody was trying to cut it down instead of give suggestions or help.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's all good. We still gonna keep rolling. And I like the forum because this reminds me, because I'm from Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, we used to sit on the porch and all the old timers come over from the bar and be kicking it with us. See, I disagree with the point that kids don't need to be scolded. I took that little boy with me for a day. I called, I said, let me, he's having some problems, things going on there. So I said, listen, you remember Jude? I grabbed him, I said, you come with me. I ain't your daddy, I ain't your nothing. I'm your mama's friend, your mama. I just grabbed him, took him, walked down to the zoo, checked out the animals, went to play some ball. I didn't even know he had a jump shot. You know what I'm saying? But we spent the day. That's what people used to do for me. They used to say, okay, I know you ain't got no money, but listen, I'm gonna give you $5. Go get that to the lady so you can go to the Yankee trip next week. Don't tell your mother I gave you. All right, do you involved. I see like the young sister got up and said, we should do this. That's what your idea is what you should just go do. We got all these people standing here, all these people around you that do a lot of positive things. Before you leave here, get a pen, get their number. It'd be easy for them to come back to you. They ain't gonna worry about saying no to you, because they'd rather have you come to them, because they can't always get to you because they don't know what you like.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, everybody at this table right here got one way of wisdom about something. Brother was talking about breakdancing. Hip hop to me got me through college.
Yeah.
I grew up on, late Supreme, Stevie Wonder, Temptation, Marvin Gaye, stuff like that, and then they just recreated it. But back then, Motown was its own industry. You know what I'm saying? It was its own industry. And I always felt like, based on what I learned growing up, how can it be Heavy D, how can it be KRS, Public Enemy, Run DMC, and they all on the same label, making money, trying to get this thing going, and now everybody all scattered. That's why from a perspective of hip-hop, it boggles the mind that they say, oh, well, this person is, you can sell this much platinum records, and we're only making $20,000. That's your fault. Because if y'all all was together, y'all can make the money. And what you telling me? I'm the only one realizing that? Y'all all out for yourself. That's why. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna tell me that you're gonna do a video and you can't get no dark skin sisters being advertised? Skin, whatever. Be more specific. Let's not be vague. Because if we want something, we can go get it. Now, I've been in this town for 4 years. I've been through more stuff in this town than anybody can ever imagine. But it'll never stop me. That's why I didn't go back. Because I figure like this, I'm going to make it. I am making it. Maybe not the way I want to, but slowly but surely. The brothers hit me down and it's like, yo man, I'm telling them, look, I'll work, I don't care, I do anything. I can't, I ain't ran the camera since college, I ain't did audio, I ain't did nothing. Okay, cool, man, hook me up, let me do a wedding. That gave me a little bit more experience. Because I did everything technical for CBS. I did everything technical. I'm going on the road every week, boom, 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 boom. So when it came to coming back to doing, I did everything production, I'm sorry. So when it came back to doing everything technical, that was kind of vague. I had to get back into the field. I knew it, but I had to get back in the field. These brothers looked out for me. Put me down, got me in a freelance unit, down at the ring, doing games. You know, every time I'm sitting out there, it ain't nothing but white.
Yeah, but.
And it's me. And a bunch of black kids was there for a blizzard game. And the little kid pulled up in the back of me and he goes, what you doing? I said, come here. Check it out. This is for this. Use this for this. Use this for this. So now his little buddy's pulling. Okay?
So I'm showing them saying this. Now, they looking at me like, what is he doing? And the one kid said to me, oh, would you teach the class? I said, yeah, you do it. You teach class. I see it all the time. You bring your cousin, your little brother, your aunt, your uncle. Why can't I do it? I'm not asking your permission. I'm doing it. I'm getting paid the same amount of money as you. And I don't have to hold my tongue for anybody. But all I'm basically saying is there needs to be more help. You know, I mean, if she helping the community, okay, and you giving her knowledge to help the community, then I gotta listen to what she's saying because she listening to you. But everybody don't want to do that. Everybody got their own mind. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the kids nowadays, they see things on TV or listen to it. That kills me too. I gotta mention it. How come there's only one black radio station in this town, FM? I don't understand that. Everywhere I live.
There's no black FM station.
Well, I'll say this. I'm saying.
They don't have no black gas station either.
Man, I mean,
what do you need?
I don't know, everything is, it's so much that I want to say, and I'm not going to take more time.
We're working on it, developing the book. We're working on it. You're making it here. All right.
The blackest thing we got is Byron Brown.
Man, he's killed.
I just want to comment about the last three speakers alluded to in certain ways. One, for the period that I lived in Chicago, I lived in an area that was hip-hop central, basically. In fact, the movie, what was it, Love Jones, was written behind a friend of mine's place that had their, called Lidex, right? People would come every week. A lot of rappers came through. A friend of mine had a hip-hop store in Chicago. I worked a lot at Rinse Youth with gangs in Chicago, so I'm very familiar with the hip-hop community. My daughter worked as a producer in New York. He did the Wu-Tang playing video. So my point is this, like, I hear what the brother said earlier about, you know, he felt like we were like scolding or attacking, and kids don't want to be preached to. I understand all that because I guess when I was your age, I was the same way. All those things have some truth to them, but what I'm trying to get across is that we're not just talking about the pursuit of making money or whether you should be a rapper and use profanity. Because I use profanity. I have no problem. I think it's part of the English language. I mean, that's never been an issue with me. My thing is this. When you say something, understand what you're saying. You know, I had a lot of kids say, what does that mean? I don't know. So what I guess we're trying to get to is this. It's like, we want you to succeed. We want you to do whatever you want to do and do it well. But we also want you to understand, and the younger ones that are younger than you, that it's coming time in America now where we have to start mentally policing ourselves. And like I said, some brother making some derogatory comment about women, shouldn't have to be a sister who tells them don't do it. Brother stand next to him, say, look, man, that doesn't make sense what you're saying. Stop saying it, right? The same as you mentioned about when he's on TV, he makes some comments about some of the rappers, and somebody called and said, you play or hate. Well, let me drop this on you right quick, okay? I hate players, okay? I want to be the master of the game. You know, the game goes on, the players change. You know, I'm not about playing. See, when you're whatever a real man is, okay? You stop playing games. Tricks are for kids, okay? And what I'm trying to get across to all my young brothers out here is that the whole player thing is what? It's a takeoff from the 40s and 50s when black men thought that the highest thing they could do in life was be a pimp and exploit women to make money off of them. And that was considered cool because you didn't get dirty, you had fingernails, and you had nice fake hair and a car. That was considered cool. And unfortunately, that West Coast thing, they pushed that. I mean, the Iceberg Slim comes from out there, and behind a lot of West Coast music is Iceberg Slim, that whole pimp mentality. I'm here to say to any young brother that I know, there ain't nothing nice about exploiting your own women. I'm thinking it's cute to make money off of women, all right? And anybody's like, I'm not playing. When I meet a woman, I am not playing, all right? I am not trying to play. Right? Now, when you're young, it sounds real cute, but it ain't cute. Because if you're around any men who are about something, that men who go out and make their own money, men who run businesses, you're an idiot. They look at you like, you know, you come in with the pimp clothes and it's so removed from reality, right? And unfortunately, our children, because they don't see a lot of black men
like I charge other people who are doing things, who are going to school and stuff, that it's an easy way. Being a pimp don't take any imagination, no brain. You know, and you ain't even got to be nice looking. You know, and most of the time pimps are basically men who are limping. They ain't pimping. They limping, right? They could never figure out how to make it in life, doing anything great, anything. So the easiest way is they get a bunch of mamas. Because that's what prostitutes are for them. They mamas. They went from the mama they didn't have to a bunch of mamas they got over here. And a lot of the girls in prostitutes are looking for a daddy. So you got two dysfunctional people running around, glamorizing something, talking about this is a lifestyle. Being a pimp is a lifestyle, being a hoe is a lifestyle. Yeah, it's a lifestyle, a destructive, insane lifestyle. And most pimps, when they get to be old, this is really strange. A lot of them are homosexual.
Yeah.
Well, they're not anything about that. A lot of them have always been homosexuals. They don't like women to begin with. All right? They don't like women to begin with. That's the biggest illusion about pimps. You know, oh, we love women. You don't abuse somebody who looks like your mother and then tell me that you love women. And when I see my little brothers out here emulating that thing, thinking because they dissed some little girl out here, or they used her, or they sexually abused her, had their boys do something to her, like in the videos talking about, if my homie don't get some, like she's like something you pass around. And I mean, the idea that we as men can sit around and laugh at that, that's so cheap, that's so funny. I mean, anybody with any sense will look at you like, you're sick, you are sick, you should be despised. I've sit around, when I was working in prison, I heard guys in prison sit up and tell tales about when they were selling crack. They get little 15-year-old girls and have sex with their dogs and stuff. And then, you know, and the guys are like giving each other high fives. I'm like, what's wrong with this picture, man? I mean, how do young men get to that state of mind at a young age where they can look at a woman as an object? And they really, I'll kick that bitch down the stairs. She was pregnant. Oh, that's funny, man. Oh, that's right on. Something's wrong with us, man. Something's really wrong with us. If we as men, young men or old men, allow this to be something we laugh about. It's okay, man. And your little boy standing looking like, I guess that's the way you do it, right? So instead of attacking, we need to be attacking that kind of sin.
Just a couple things I want to say. One of the things that, like when we talk about the civil rights era and hip-hop era, we're not just talking about the actual music or the actual movement. We're talking about everything that was going on around us. Within the hip-hop movement, one of the things that I see that's going on, and what I fought the civil rights era for, or like I said, what I said earlier, where someone did not carry the ball, is that when I was growing up, I have to call my mother and father's friends Mr. or Mrs. whatever. That's not going on now. And so we're seeing some of the breakdowns right there where, a 5-year-old child is able to call someone 30, hey John, hey Ann, whatever their mother was about, they're calling them is what they're being able to call. I'm 32, and I still see my mother's and father's friends, and I still have to call them Mr. and Mrs. My aunts and uncles, I still have to call aunt and uncle. And these are some of the breakdowns that happen, that happens over 25 years, and then we see what we have today. We see just the rampant drug abuse, because I cannot right now go and check a child who's destroying my property. Because if I go and check that child, I say something to them, you know what they're going to say? I'm going to go and get my mama, and she's going to get her gun. That did not go on when I was little. I still live in the same street that I lived on when I was growing up. And when I was growing up, if I said anything, open my mouth like that to anybody, any elder like that, if my mother found out or my father found out, what's hell to pay? Is there hell to pay now? I see children cussing out adults. I saw a child step to my mother, and I had to do everything I could, and I had to smack this 12-year-old child back across the street for stepping to my mother like this. I was like, I can't do that because the law says you can't do such and such. Then when we talk about other things, like brothers talk about Motown, I personally feel that Motown sold us out. Motown had their own record company, their own distribution company, which is impossible to have. And it was impossible to have it then, but Barry Gordy made it happen. But then the money came. And he gave it up, and he sold it out to MCA. He sold out his distribution. And now here we are, even, actually there's only one big black-owned record company that's not partly owned by anybody else, that's no limit. Face Records is owned by other companies. Puff Daddy's company is owned by everybody else but Puff Daddy. But you see him talking about, I'm a record owner, I'm a mogul. No, he's not. And that's the reason why we see why somebody's only, when TLC says that they sold 10 million copies of their album, they all only took home $15,000. It's because by the time they started parceling all the pieces, they didn't have nothing else. It was gone. And then one of the things that is our responsibility, and we talk about just Black-owned companies within our communities, we also have to have responsibility for ourselves. And when we put hours on the door, be open for those hours. I'm tired of going to that. It's 11 o'clock and the door says it's open at 10 o'clock and I can't open the door. We gotta take responsibility for that ourselves. You make your own hours, we gotta keep your own hours.
Let me respond to a couple of things that you said. The social breakdown. Definitely, as we want to relate to this panel discussion, let me just tie in hip-hop, Motown. Still impacts the messages in the music. Okay, kids want to be like everyone else. I want to be like her. She's pretty. She's this. She's that. I want to be like him. He's this. He's that. It's still, the message is still there. Be it TV, be it the lyrics. The message is still in the music. Social breakdown. Government. Lost control of children. You're absolutely right. When I was raised, I'm a baby, remember? Lady down the street could whoop you. The woman next door to your house could whoop you. And by the time you get home, you get whooped again. There were certain things that we couldn't say or do. Same scenario, coming from the same kind of background. But government has run them up. And that's because we let government do that. Government has always been of the people and by the people, but it's very easy to elect folks and let corporate America buy folks and wind up sitting back and saying, well, I elected you to do that, so you do it. But believe me, any elected official in this country is only as strong as the people behind them. So if you let the people with the money control me, if you let that happen, then that's what happens. But if you take control, and if it just means by each one of you in this room giving that person $1 to make sure that the special interest group or corporate America doesn't smother your dreams and your desires and your hopes for your children, then that's what you must do. There's a certain amount of respect that belongs to you. Government has stepped in and said you cannot hit your children anymore. Not you, the people. Government said that, and when that happened, we all heard it and we were all shocked. But nobody got together and held a forum and said, let's get together and talk to the state senator and the state legislators and ask them, have you lost your mind? We were raised, you don't whoop the child, you spoil the child. Fair to lie, you spoil the child. My mother whooped the crap out of me, and today she said she didn't whoop me enough because I still talk too much. Okay? She whooped me, so I knew what the lines were. I knew what the boundaries were. You must take control of your children. If you don't, you're absolutely right. The 12-year-old will cuss your mother out, and the mother will come down to give it a gun. But if you set the stage in your own area, that same 12-year-old, just like the brother back there from Jersey, took the soldier's son, same scenario. Half the kids on my block I don't want to be bothered with either, but guess what? I do when they call me infant. For the simple fact that someone has to take the initiative and try to take back our children, take back our culture, take back government. Leadership. That's what it's all about.
Real leadership.
Motown, you can be our next Barry Gordon. Barry Gordon, you come from a wealthy woman. You could be our next Barry Gordon. Why should we not have another Motown?
Yeah.
We don't trust one another.